Good morning, students. Today is the 28th of June 2022. We are in the Electrotech Block P classroom and we're in the workshop. This morning's video is in relation to carry out routine work activities in energy sector environment. This is the unit skills test sheet. Before you can actually do this unit skills test sheet, you must have completed unit UEECD0009, which is workplace OH&S. In regard to unit UEECD0009, you must have attempted all 7 quizzes. You must have completed and been assessed on your topic skills practice. Before you can commence the 4 checkpoints of this unit skills test. Now, if we look at this unit skills test and we go to page 2, we'll see that there's 3 jobs involved. So if we actually look at the 3 jobs, the first job is to mount 2 only Clipsal 238 or similar mounting blocks on a timber surface spaced 300 cm using bugle head screws or similar Phillips head self-drilling screws. Now, we've already decided, and your assessor in the classroom, teacher in the classroom will confirm this, the screws can be no longer than 20 millimeters because of the timber surface that we're screwing to. Once that's done, that has to be confirmed by your teacher/assessor to prove that's correct before you can go on to job 2. Job 2 is to wire and connect 2 only Clipsal C2025 power points wired in 2.5mm 2-core and earth 7067 thermoplastic sheath cable. Attach these 2 mounting blocks as per job 1. Clip the cable to the surface before. Clip the cable to the surface, timber surface, between the power points and leave a 400mm tail so that we can do a complete test of polarity with the multimeter. Job 3 is to wire 1 power point, 1 light switch and 1 batten holder. All to be wired in 20mm MD conduit. They must be saddled and fixed with the same 20mm bugle head screws. The light switch must control the light, but the power point must be, when the power is energized, the power point must work all the time, irrespective of whether the light switch is on or off. Leave a 300mm tail at the end so we can connect an ELV power supply after we've confirmed that your polarity and continuity is correct, and we'll apply an ELV supply to the circuit and prove that your light is illuminated with the switch turned on. We'll prove that the power point has 24 volts or thereabouts DC at the circuit all the time whether the light switch is on or off, and we'll prove that the light works correctly. Once you've completed these jobs and you've completed the material lists accordingly, you've then got to answer a few questions on pages 6, 7, 8 and 9. And once you've completed this, you can then submit your unit skills test ready for assessment. So if we go back to the actual jobs themselves, we need to create a material list. So jobs 1, 2 and 3, we do have the materials nominated. So I'll just pan the actual video around and we'll see on the desk here that I've got all the materials laid out on the desk ready to go. So here we are on the desk. You'll see I've got my 2 power points, I've got my light switch, I've got my conduit saddles for my conduit, I've got my 238 mounting blocks, I've got my batten holder, I've got my junction box that the button holder is going to be screwed to, so with the conduit entry. Just notice that the 238 mounting blocks also have a conduit entry either side. Obviously I have my tools, my tape measure, my battery drill with a posi drive or Phillips head bit in the end of it. I have my tool belt. I have my conduit cutters to cut my conduit the correct length. I also have a set of wire strippers. I have some PVC tape, and I have some screws all in one of the lids ready to go, so they're all ready for me when I want to start the job. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the conduit. The conduit themselves is actually, go ask your teacher where the conduit actually is, but just as a guide, we can just pan over to the corner here, and you see there's some lengths of conduits in the corner here, and there are cut lengths already here, and we can use those lengths to start with, and we have some full lengths up high as well on this up top here, and we also have some other store elsewhere. Okay, so there's quite a bit of conduit that we can use, that we can cut up, and that we can use for this particular job. So do not be afraid to ask, and you might find that you've done part of this job in job 1 and part of job 2 in your topic skills prac. But this is about reaffirmation and reassessment and multiple exposure, so that you can prove that you can use and wire and connect PowerPoints correctly using different types of mounting, different types of PowerPoints, and even though we are using the same surface, that's for job 1 and 2. Job 3, you do the same thing again. We have one PowerPoint and one light switch. We're going to use 2.5mm squared 2PS 2-core and earth wire all the time. I can explain the reasons for that later. And we're going to be using 20mm conduit, which is another type of protection, mechanical protection, in which a cable can be enclosed in, which is another wiring method. So it's multiple exposure, it's multiple use to enable you to become more proficient in the use of these tools, to give you multiple exposure about typical jobs that you would actually be doing in industry today, both on the domestic as well as the commercial and light industrial marketplace. So we'll now go back to the actual job itself. Okay, so I'll just pan back around here. I'm now going to put the lessons learned from the previous video. I'm now going to just pan this back around so we can see the surface a bit more clearly while I'm doing the work. I'm just going to press pause for a sec.